Volkswagen, yes, they make some great driving cars, but over the past couple of years, wow, did they make an epic mistake in a growing area. Apparently, they want to fix that mistake, but that change is going to be coming in a wrapper that's hiding in plain sight. Okay, now that you and I have the preamble out of the way, let's start with the name, rank, and serial number. This is a Volkswagen, so that means there's going to be an EA 888 somewhere around here. It continues, but it continues with a couple of more horsepower. Now this is at 201 horsepower. They're still working out the figures in terms of torque, but something around 221. And that brings us to the one you are looking at here. The color is called Sandstone, but more importantly, this is the SEL R-Line. So this is the one that has all the bits on it, including the biggest wheels on offer. Now here, they've got, I haven't seen this in a while, 4 different wheel sizes on offer. 17, 18, if that isn't good enough, 19, and then you can go up all the way to 20-inch wheels. And that brings us to design. It's all about what you can do from this space to this space, because you have to package a lot of people and a lot of dogs, and that's why you get something like this. It's called in the industry a 2-box design. Box 1 and box 2. Hence, you don't have a lot of creativity, and it's kind of like driving your washing machine. So here, the Volkswagen, if you remember when this first came out, it was this cute little thing. It was short, it was different. It had really short overhangs, and people bought it and said, I'm different. Then it grew and it grew and it grew, and now it has a wheelbase that actually exceeds its competition. It's about 3 inches longer than, say, like a Nissan Rogue or a Honda CR-V. Now, putting aside all macro themes of design, there are some bits here that this has gone, I guess, Hollywood. Look at the light signature, both front and rear. I don't think it's standard on all of them. And then there are some character lines throughout the vehicle, specifically some chrome there. You can call me crazy here, but I kind of see a little bit of Buick in the D-pillar here. That aside, back to the practicality. Inside, there are changes. And not the usual changes you see, oh my God, it's got a new dashboard, or it's got an updated screen, or it's got a bigger screen. Here, Volkswagen, this is a mea culpa of sorts. You and I have spent some time over the years talking about the ills of Volkswagen's decisions when it comes to UX design. I think the term I used in our GTI episode was they need to take their UX out back to the woodshed and shoot it and make sure it never comes back. And over the years, they've made changes to it. They have the screen, it's grown bigger. They've added illumination to some of the HVAC controllers. They've tried to make the processor faster. But finally, after you and I have pissed and moaned in probably 5 episodes that this needs to go away, someone has listened. I say this because there is a knob now in a Volkswagen. There are actual hard buttons on the steering wheel. There are not 2, but 4 window switches in a Volkswagen. So I would like to say you're welcome, but let's just go through some of the changes. Yeah, the overall dashboard has changed. It actually has that feel of a dashboard from like back in the day of like the Ransom Me old days where it had the curved dash and it was like almost vertical here. And here they've got some pageantry with the R display. They've gotten this one, the fancy one. They've got the satin finish wood. And there's good like tactile feel. Now granted, this one's probably going to be the $40,000, $45,000 one. My guess, these things will start about $28,000, $29,000, kind of where they are now. And then there is a revised console. Those of you that are familiar with the ones in Europe, those have a different, like a shelf, which actually is kind of cooler because you can put your phone and all kind of stuff underneath it and still have space to put other things on top of it. But let's get to the star of the show, and that is a knob here. And the knob, there's kind of like pageantry to it because I feel they stole some ideas from their cousin in England by putting knurling around the knob here. And what the knob does, really, it's 2 things. Number 1, it's a volume control for the infotainment system. And number 2, if I press the screen here, kind of like an Apple Watch, I can go between all of the different modes. Now, I shouldn't tell you this, but I have driven this car. And the first thing that comes to mind when you sit in this car is, oh my God, my arm, it kind of falls down into the console, and the first thing that you touch is this knob. So it's not just, okay, we're sorry for ills of the past. It kind of makes it to the point where it's a driver's car again, which is what a Volkswagen should be in the first place. But put aside that. Then we get into some of the details of this one. This one has the fancier interior where you do have a nice contrast from now, this color out here. The Volkswagen product planners will tell you they kind of pilfered it from like Porsche chalk, that kind of thing, now in a Volkswagen. So to have it with this two-tone tan and like, I want to say black interior with contrast stitch, works in conjunction with all the details. So huge hats off to not only making the change, but finally admitting there was some wrongdoing. Before we press on to the rear of the vehicle, a bit of housekeeping. What you are looking at is not a Volkswagen Tiguan, but your eyes may deceive you because it is a Volkswagen Tiguan. What gives? This is not a US market vehicle. Through a bit of movie magic, this appeared von Deutschland. Biggest difference, it is not as long. This is the shorter wheelbase version. The other big difference, this is a plug-in hybrid. Now, I've spoken to the Volkswagen folks, and they tell me the plug-in hybrid is not coming to the US. Now, that brings us to the question of why, and the answer would be, as always, money. You see, this probably would be about $50,000 US. If you think of the Toyota RAV4 Prime, which they still have a line for, those are 45 minimum. If you think about this vehicle, not made in the US, these are made in Mexico, my guess is it would be about the same, probably a bit more, which is why you and I most likely will not see the plug-in hybrid. Now that we have that all cleared up, let's jump ahead to a glimpse of the wish list. That knob that works in conjunction with the updated UX, it does two different functions with a toggle switch on top of it. How about more functions, like infotainment, HVAC? Basically, make it more intuitive. I'm just one man, but comments below. Now back to our regularly scheduled program. And now we arrive at the business end of a vehicle like this. Now, for the avoidance of doubt, this is not a three-row. It's not trying to be a three-row, at least in this country. And as such, there is a hell of a lot of room back here. I am a 6-footer. This is where I would sit. And it's more than enough space here. There's HVAC controls in the back, even heated seats in this one, USB-C in the back, obviously an armrest. So there is usability here. There's even this little pocket here. I'm thinking for 2 phones. That is kind of a neat touch. Overall, this is a functional place to be. I don't think you would put a big dog back here, but definitely Rugrats. Pressing on to the rear of the vehicle, this is where we get into 2 different directions. First would be the functionality behind that second row seat. Here, a side note, the product manager of this vehicle is kind of sitting just off camera here, and they were very clear to me. Not only is it not a 3-row, it's never going to be a 3-row. So put that in your pipe and smoke it. In terms of functionality back here, that's the benefit. By not having the 3rd row, there's more storage back here, and obviously that works in conjunction with the storage of people in the 2nd row. There's some storage under here, as well as a spare tire, that kind of stuff. But putting that aside, there is a bit more functionality that you don't see. So that extra horsepower, the change in the engine, and this being now built off a different platform. It's not the same one as before. It changes the towing, at least in the all-wheel drive. It goes up by 300 pounds to 1,800 pounds total. In terms of the design in the rear, once again, it's gone Hollywood. It's a little bit more fancy. I would say that like that cutesiness the Tiguan had when it first started, that's kind of all but gone, and now there's, I don't want to say there's hips like we saw on that Ioniq 9, but there's more shape to the rear of the vehicle, which makes it a bit less German. You and I are going to close out this little tech review unlike any other we've done in the 15-year history of the show, and that is a glimpse of the future. What you are looking at here, yes, is a Volkswagen Tiguan, but it's not a US market Tiguan. This is a German market. It's been flown over for World Car Awards test drive here in California, and it gave us a glimpse of how these things drive. And I have to say, significantly better than other like mid-size crossovers. Now that's all fine and good, but what the hell do I mean by that? It's the right blend between composure and compliance. Now here's the catch. This is a German market car, which means the build, what they do with the suspension is different than over here. I don't mean it's different pieces, it's different tune. And this is where we get to the wish list. You and I both know Volkswagen of America will most likely want to soften this car up for US tastes. Don't do that. Make this the German car it is supposed to be. That's what will set it apart from Toyotas, Kias, and Hyundais. Get it? Aside from that, more of the little tweaks that we see that came along with this entire redesign of the Tiguan, because really this is not just about the Tiguan, it's about some of the things that have been challenging with new Volkswagens over the past couple of years since they brought out the ID.4. But I am just one man, and this is the point of the episode. I turn around to you guys to opine in the comments below or via social media, MotoMan TV, all one word, MotoMan TV, all one word, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. And with that, if you found this episode fascinating, I would highly suggest you check out our tech review on not something German, but something that was a crossover, maybe a bit larger. You can see the episode here. Until I see you in the next episode, bis später.